Hello, hello. What's up? What's up? It is a new day, it is a new week, and it's time to get social. My name is KaVonna, and welcome to the Introvert's Social Hour. Hello, hello. Today we are talking about television and more specifically, TV shows that deserve a little bit more credit. Some underrated TV shows that we think should be in the spotlight, higher up above, and more talked about. Today I brought my friend Isaiah to talk about these things. Isaiah is a film TV enthusiast who is passionate about storytelling, chicken tenders, and stories about chicken tenders. His love of watching movies and TV is just as much as his love of chatting about it. He's currently an editor and aspiring writer slash director at a film production company based out of Los Angeles known as Wong Fu Productions. Please welcome Isaiah. Woo woo.
Hello, hello.
How are you doing today?
I'm good. Thanks for having me. This is so exciting and yeah, this is so fun. I love talking about TV and as
Mm.
just watching it too. So being able to do this is like my favorite thing. I just love talking
Yeah.
about TV. Yeah.
Oh, I'm so excited. Yeah, I was literally just telling you too, you're the first person I thought of in regards to like television and film. Like if we're gonna like do like a deep dive, and this isn't even the deepest dive we could do. It's just one step, but you were the
Uh-huh.
first person I thought of.
Oh, thank
And I'm
you.
super excited to like get to know what your underrated TV shows are because I might get something I need to watch now. You never
Yeah.
know.
And I'm excited to hear, your takes on stuff and even like maybe some of your favorite underrated TV shows and stuff like that. I
Yes.
think like today with just TV in general, I feel like everyone has their own like opinion about what is good and like even just their own taste, right? I don't
Mhm.
think that there is anymore like this like public understanding of like what is good and what's not. I think it's just people have their own opinions of what is there and like
Mhm.
there is a market for everyone. And it's like, oh, that's so cool that like that exists here in today's age that people
Yeah.
can just enjoy so many different things. So, yeah.
That is true. And I did want to talk about that, especially like today in regards to like streaming service as well.
Mhm.
So I feel like now more than ever, TV shows do become a little bit less appreciated because there's so much of like a huge pool to reach from. Um, as far as underrated TV show for you, what does that definition look like? So what shows did you pull from today that defined underrated for you?
Yeah. I mean, like, first off, I'm like no expert in TV. I just like
Exactly.
love TV so much and like
Yeah.
that's just something. But I think the way I would define like an underrated TV show is just like a show that I think in the either in the time that it was made or even just like in where it stands now. I think it's just shows that aren't as frequented or watched um as much or like I guess discussed in like that zeitgeisty way where it's like
Yeah.
people talk about The Office, people talk about like Stranger Things, things like that, right? And it's like those are I feel like common household name shows
Mhm.
in the same way that like you have like your quote unquote classic movies and stuff like that. I think
Yeah.
an underrated TV show is things that like people maybe not have heard of, haven't
Mhm.
seen, or maybe even like quite frankly like didn't exist anywhere until a certain time. Like, and I think
Yeah.
like even this era of streaming, I think it has been both a good thing and a bad thing, right? I think
Mhm.
before it was like there wasn't as many like avenues to kind of watch something, right? It was like you
Yeah.
just had to watch what was on TV and there was no choice and you just kind of had to
Mhm.
like catch at a time and like that was it. But I
Yeah.
think in some regards, sorry, excuse me,
Okay.
in some regards there it was also like I think there was also like you could just watch what was there and like discover something new. Whereas
Mhm.
now with so much choice, it is like you have the choice not to try something. And at the end of the day, that choice to not try something could affect the way that that show is made or even like produced or even just like if it gets another episode, another run, another season, different
Yeah.
things like that. So I think it's like, yeah, it's like a double-edged sword in a certain regards. Like the choice is there, but it's yeah, it's powerful to kind of dictate what people are watching and what they aren't watching anymore.
Yeah. Um, I like that you mentioned that because like in regards to like our perspective, we have like such an open pool. So like we can like
Hmm.
choose what we watch, right?
Yeah.
In regards to the background of it all. So like the production companies, the television networks, as well as the streaming services, um, we start to see. how they also like kind of like output their shows in a way.
Yeah.
Um, Not only just like just general like here's the show, but also marketing and things like that.
No,
How
for
do you
sure.
think that plays a part in how we kind of like digest the material as well? So, for example, I could think of like I'm trying not to like drop an early hint on one of my shows, but there's a show that I'm going to talk about that I feel like didn't get enough push. Therefore, then the audience doesn't know about it, like and then we see that spiral of do they get another season? But then the audience doesn't know about it, and then it's kind of like
Exactly.
this weird like spiral.
Hmm.
So out like in regards to marketing, how can even they do a better job if that makes sense?
Yeah. No, I understand. I get you. I think it's hard because the thing is now is kind of going back to that like the function of
Mm,
what TV used to be, right? It was
mm,
that you were there for a like kind of agreed upon amount of time, right? You're gonna sit down and watch an episode of The Office.
yeah,
It's a 30-minute episodes or built-in breaks. You're gonna get those times to be like, hey, here's a bunch of new marketing for other shows like The Office, or The
yeah,
Office is gonna come up with another episode. You're gonna watch something else, right? And so it's like you're getting those bits built into the time that you're already watching. But I think now with streaming, it's like even now, like people are paying more to get ad-free content, right? And then
hmm,
if you're getting ad-free content, you're not getting the ads of other shows that you might not watch. And I think it's also goes also into our just our watching habits these days. I feel like people have shorter time attention spans to like
that's
sit through ads
true.
now. So it's like
Yeah,
no one wants to sit through an ad. And I think ads in that way have kind of been changing a lot too, to be shorter and more condensed and kind of in your face about things. And I feel
hmm,
like even like the past couple years, I haven't seen ads for like shows. I think the only thing that ads I look forward to that people see are trailers, right? And it's like when
yeah,
you see the trailer of a show that you're like super hyped about, like, that sounds
hmm,
interesting. That sounds awesome. I personally don't know how we could change it. It's one of those things where it's like, yeah, I don't know. It's like the way that marketing is on social media too. It's like what your
hmm,
algorithm pushes, right? And
yeah,
that itself is also like indicative of what you like. So it's like as much as I don't know, like I guess for example, it's like there might be like a show about a musical or something like that, right?
hmm,
And it's like I probably won't get it in my timeline because of the fact that I like to watch gritty, dark, comedy and like
yeah,
action adventure things. It's like, and in that sense, it is kind of sad that I probably won't be recommended that something that like I never knew that I would like. And I think
hmm,
there's an understanding too where in today's age with how much people get pushed what they want to see,
hmm.
there is more of a pushback to not try, I guess, shows. And I think that that's what's tough too. Is like I
That's
think
true.
the habits of watching have become something that's so different. It's like your lane and people understand the lane that they want to be in and they're more people I guess are less willing to try outside their lane if they know
Hmm.
that they're comfortable in what they're watching and kind of doing. It's not like I have to search for something. I just know I'm going to be fed it. And
Yeah,
if I like it, I like it. If I don't, I don't. And it's just like that's kind of it. So which is
yeah,
it's tough. It's a tough thing, and I think the TV industry is kind of figuring that out too, as far as like content goes and
hmm,
new shows and whatnot.
yeah.
But yeah,
Okay, I do have a curiosity question. So the most recent news of like television that I noticed was the new kind of like Grease reboot television show. They
yes,
had
Rise of
canceled
the Pink
it.
Ladies.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, Rise of the Pink Ladies.
I worked with there is an actress on the show. Her name is Trisha Fukuhara. I worked with her
Hmm.
like a couple years ago on this like short film that I had a friend who was directing it. He had cast her in that short and she was like the lead. And
Yeah,
so I worked on behind the scenes for that. And so I met her and
that's
she's like
cool.
super cool, really nice. Like shout out to Trisha. She's so cool.
Hmm.
But like yeah, I was hearing a lot about that where I was actually gonna bring that up today about like
Yeah.
this idea that like TV shows, especially on streaming now, it's like
Hmm.
you can have this avenue where you have a TV show that like people like, but sometimes maybe people don't necessarily like all watch.
Yeah.
And then suddenly they get canceled after the first season because no one watched it. And I think
Hmm.
I was seeing this like really interesting take on this, and I don't know if this is where you're going about it,
Yeah,
but like
you read my mind. Yeah.
there's this understanding now that like, hey, if a show doesn't take off in the first season,
Hmm.
then we're not gonna greenlight it. And I think that
Hmm.
is, I understand from a financial and studio perspective, like, cool, it's not making money, cut our losses, let's move on, find the
Mm.
next story, right? But
Yeah.
I think there's also an understanding too that's like that's upsetting because a lot of the shows that I think we have today that are in this like public sphere of knowledge that have become like favorites among like so many people, right? Like I
Yeah.
keep quoting The Office, but like it's yeah, like The Office, Parks and Rec, like Arrested Development, all these like
Community, like all
beautifully Community,
yeah.
like all these beautiful shows that are like, dude, these shows were terrible their first season. They did like it.
Mhm.
You need to have this understanding that there's grace that needs to be given a little bit to kind of find their footing because then they'll find their stride and they'll take it and then they'll actually like make something big out of it, right? And I
Yeah.
think like yes, there probably as much as with every great television show there's
Mhm.
probably like a handful that aren't good and yeah, like they got canceled and that's like that sucks and like that has to like we have to move on from that as well. But
Yeah.
like yeah, like there is I think in the way that the system is built now, less of those gems that can get through. And like that is so upsetting to hear that like yeah, shows can get canceled now after the first season without even really finding their footing or like they did find their footing and no one just watched it. And it's like
Mhm.
that's so terrible and that's so sad because it's like yeah, I would love to see more shows get the love that they deserve, but
Yeah.
like I guess it's just yeah, it's just that's just like yeah, money talks, right? In this industry. And it's
Right.
like it's really sad that like that can happen.
Yeah, they weren't given a chance, and I think that's, like, the rough part. I feel like
Yeah.
now there's a higher standard. I feel like, 10 years ago, the viewership expectations were a bit lower, and I think now
Mhm.
also because of streaming, like, they expected a little bit more. I don't know why. That would be, like, something to, like, go into of, like, why do you expect your first season to get millions and millions of views when it wasn't doing that 10 years ago?
No, exactly.
Like,
And I
so,
yeah,
I don't know.
it's crazy. I talk about it too with some of my coworkers here because
Mhm,
like the content that we make is primarily on YouTube and like we're
mhm,
like a YouTube production channel, but we also like make content elsewhere and stuff like that.
mhm,
But we also talk about it too because it's like back then, right? You had cable and you
exactly.
bought cable and you paid for cable and it was
Mhm,
like, hey, you are competing with am I going to watch another episode of this or am I going to watch a movie on HBO or am I going to watch this or am I going to go to the movies and watch AMC like go on AMC and like watch the new movie or whatever.
yeah,
Now you're not just competing with the what we think is that market, right? The movie market, the it's like
mhm,
you are now competing with every other show on every other platform out there.
that's
You're
true.
competing with watch time on Instagram, with
Mhm,
YouTube, with TikTok. Like
mhm,
you're competing against so many other factors that didn't exist like years ago. And I
yeah,
think the benchmark is very different now. And I think you can't judge something based on what well, I don't know how to like even I'm because like I'm not even like a studio exec or anything, but it's like
mhm,
it's hard to figure out that like yeah, like how do we go about this? Like, do we have to lower the bar of what we think is successful or not? Like, it's just there are so many things now that are not getting a chance that I think in this unfair nature of the way our society works now with just so much content,
yeah,
you're competing with everybody. It's not just the top dogs of Warner Brothers. You're competing with like anybody with a phone and anyone with a camera that can
mhm,
make content. So it's like,
yeah. We're in content, like, generation because
oh,
literally,
for
like,
sure.
sometimes there's a period where I don't really watch, like, television. Maybe I'm just, like, watching a whole bunch of my favorite, like, YouTube shows, you know?
Exactly.
So I totally agree with that. Um Yeah, I'm very curious to see where it goes. Like once again, for the listeners, like we're not experts, but it's always interesting to talk about, especially considering like one another like moment of time that's happening in regards to TV. Like they mentioned The Bear, a TV show that I didn't know about. This
Oh
is
my
completely new
gosh,
to me.
KaVonna. This show is incredible. It is literally one of my favorite shows. Like
Mhm.
I that's so I guess I was gonna say that it was in my honorable mentions, but
Uh-huh.
the reason I put it in my honorable mentions because I'm like, I don't think it's underrated. I think
It's spiked up.
legitimately it's starting to get the love it deserves. Because I
Yeah.
started watching the show and I got it word of mouth because one of my other coworkers told me about this show back
Mhm.
like maybe a year and a half ago when they were
See,
still like halfway through their season.
never
And I
heard
was
of
like,
it.
sure, I'll just watch it. And like
Mhm.
fell in love instantly. I was like, this
Mhm.
like Oh, it's so good. You should totally check it out. Like if you
Yeah.
haven't seen it yet, it's so great.
It's on my list now because like they said, so first season it was very quiet for me. I'd never heard
Hmm.
of this show until season 2 popped off and then everyone was talking about it. But that's like a perfect example. Like their viewership went up like significantly from season 1 to season 2, but it's about like giving these shows a chance to
For
grow.
sure.
Especially like you also have to think about the network. Like I feel
Hmm.
like sometimes the network doesn't consider like their audience as well. Um
No, for sure.
my biggest one I always think about is like you. You was on Lifetime before it was on Netflix. You flopped on Lifetime. Why was you
Whoa,
on
wait,
Lifetime?
really?
Yeah. I
Oh,
watched you
that's
before it
crazy.
was on Netflix. And that was because I found it and it was on Lifetime. But the like Lifetime, really?
Yeah, that is
So then
interesting.
that's why it
That's kind of
flopped.
wild.
And then Netflix bought it. But it would have
That's
totally
so
gotten
interesting.
canceled because that's not the audience, you know?
Hmm. No, no,
Um,
totally.
but that's something to think about too.
No, no, for sure. And I think like, yeah, there are different studios, and I think I've become more aware of it too with just the content that's being produced and the quality, but also
Mhm.
like I also go back to this now, like the quality of the content. If a studio or something like a network can prove to me that they have my trust in
Mhm.
content, I'm willing to try blindly some more good
Yeah.
content. So for
Hmm.
example, like The Bear, right?
Hmm.
The Bear is produced by FX, and FX is the same that did like Dave, Atlanta, like all these other shows that I was like, dude,
Yeah.
I love these shows. So like if you're willing to give me more of this and
Mhm.
I can just like blindly follow this, like not blindly follow, but I can like accept this and try.
Yeah.
I'm more willing to give my attention to some of these things and like
Hmm.
yeah, like I guess like try new things in this because I understand the contract that I'm signing up for being
Yeah.
this it might be this very like eye-opening experience to watch a new story that I never thought about.
Yeah. I definitely agree with that. I think of like networks that have trends like CW. They have like a
Mhm.
niche. They have a niche now. It doesn't work as much, you
It's
know.
very niche.
But
I like
before,
yeah. Uh-huh.
they were really
I
into
get you.
sci-fi, supernatural, the Vampire Diaries era of it all.
Vampire
Then they
Diaries,
tried to
yeah.
move into the DC and I think it didn't work as much.
I
They
actually
kind
I
of
have a lot of friends who still love the DC stuff
well, I
at
love
CW.
that for them.
Yeah.
Because I don't know, they cancel a lot of shows too. CW is one of the
No,
networks that cancels a lot of shows.
no, they do. They do.
Yeah.
And it's like it's upsetting too because we have some friends that were on a couple shows at the CW and they got
Mhm.
canceled. So it's like it's tough there.
Yeah.
It's like
They
yeah.
will, they don't care if you're on season 4 or 5. They will, they will
Hmm.
pretty much clear you out. Um, okay. I want to move into our first show, our first underrated show. It doesn't necessarily have to be in any specific order.
Okay.
Just sharing what shows we love, which shows that we think we don't get enough love, and we could just kind of like advocate for them. I would love to hear so much
Okay.
about what it is, what it's about, and any other things that you would love to share in regards to like characters in TV as well, like where to
Yeah, for
find it and
sure.
things. So I could go first, and
Okay.
then
Awesome.
you could share yours after. So the first one I've decided to share because it's like near and dear to my heart.
Okay.
Zoe's playlist.
You know what's funny is I literally thought about this and I was like, I feel like KaVonna is gonna bring this up
Yo,
because I
see.
feel like I've been seeing your posts about it and I was like,
Hmm.
that is a definition of underrated. I haven't personally
Hmm.
seen it, but everyone
Oh,
that tells me about it
so
tells me
good.
it's so good, and I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
I should watch it.
Yes, I recommend. I think it's on Roku now. I
Oh
think it's
wow, okay,
free on Roku. I would have to double check that. Um, if you have never watched Zoe's playlist, to the listeners out there, so we follow Zoe, and somehow, some way, I'm not going to tell you how, she ends up with a let's just say power where any
okay,
she can hear people and see people singing and dancing um and getting inside their heads and their thoughts and their emotions. So for example, if someone's sad one day, maybe they'll drop a ballad and sing a song, let's say it could be a sad by there's a song called Sad by Ed Sheeran, I believe. Like say they're singing that.
I
Or
see.
if they're like really happy, they sing something like that. Or if they're going through it, they find songs, as for like the writers and things like that, they find songs that connect to what that character is going through. And Zoe
Uh-huh.
listens to them and also sees them. Sometimes there's a dance break. I
That's so
tell
cool.
you, when Zoe's playlist was on, I was like, I'm going to be on that show. I was so excited. And they canceled it after season two.
Oh, dang, that's tough.
Um,
Yeah.
NBC. So it was on
Yes.
NBC. It had Jane Levy, Skylar Astin, Alex Newell, recent Tony Award winner, and John
Wow.
Clarence Stewart. And it was the show. Like, Gleeks, don't hate me for this, but it was better than Glee. And I was a Gleekster, but it was more like settled. It was clean cut. It was like
Uh-huh.
one of the most organized shows in regards to musicals I had
Yeah,
ever
yeah.
seen because Glee did start that process, for us for like how do you mix and mash like TV and
I get you.
that outside of like Disney Channel and stuff, of course,
Mhm,
but
mhm, mhm.
they did it so well. They tried to like bring it back, and you get good storyline, you get a
Mhm.
little drama, you get some
Dang, okay.
comedy,
Okay, okay.
you get the chaos, the also like sadness too. So she goes through dealing with the loss of her father. And what does
Dang.
that look like? So she's also emotionally processing. It's like
Mhm,
maybe
mhm.
that's why she got the power. Maybe it was necessary. We kind of figure out along the way why it's happening. Maybe other people might have it, things like that. It's just so good. The performance quality is A plus plus. There's not
Okay.
a song where I was like, this is not it. Even the B plot characters got their moments to shine.
Mhm.
Like I said, ensemble on point. The scenic design, I loved it. Their kind of like headquarters space.
Uh-huh.
It was super cool to me. Like, I don't know, I just loved everything about it. You get the boss who's kind of like mean but kind of nice and supportive.
Uh-huh.
You just get everything.
Dang,
So
that's crazy.
Zoe's playlist, they
No,
canceled it after
yeah.
season two.
Oh, that's
I
tough,
was one of
yeah.
the people who was trying to like bring it back. I was like,
Bring it
Netflix, save
back.
it. Somebody save
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yes.
On Twitter, but they didn't save it. But Roku did buy it, and they gave them they were able to help wrap it up with a Christmas special. So a Christmas
Wow. Oh,
movie.
that's so cool.
Yeah, so they were able to wrap up the story in that Christmas movie.
That's good.
Not obviously the ending that they probably would have had, but
Not
at least
perfect,
we
yes.
get something. Because that's one thing I
Some
can't stand
closure.
is when they cancel it
You get
and
no closure,
you
right?
get no closure.
Dude, it's
Yeah.
tough. I think it's so hard sometimes. Like ending TV shows, I think is one of the it's like a mountain in its own like
Oh, 100%.
thing to climb. Like right, and it's like
Hmm.
the fact that like ending a TV show, and then it's like if you're trying to end a TV show, and you have like, hey, you're getting canceled. You got 3 episodes left. It's like, okay, how do we like
Right.
reconfigure this story to like wrap up or give
Literally.
closure? Right? It's like, oh,
Hmm.
it's so hard. But like so
It's
much props to that.
Yeah, and it's something also too that doesn't I feel like doesn't happen as much. I feel like
No,
as of late, I don't get to see shows really come to fruition, like, and then like just really wrap up, you
no, for
know?
sure, for sure.
Like no one's
No,
safe.
that's great.
Like
No, like legitimately, and that's crazy. But like, yeah, no, I'm interested in this. Like, I've been hearing a lot about this show. It's funny. I think one of my coworkers was telling us about like we were on a road trip and
Mhm,
like I guess like weird tangent, but he
mhm.
was playing. We were playing different music from
The
different
album.
playlists. And yeah, and
Yes.
so I guess a cover of is it 500 Miles came on or like
Oh yes.
and so
Yeah.
we were listening to it. We're like, wait, this
I
isn't
would walk
yeah, yeah, we were like,
500.
"This is not the regular one," and he was like, "Oh, no, this is from Zoe's Extraordinary Playlist," and I was like,
Yes.
"Oh, interesting, okay, like, that's so interesting."
Can I do a quick plug? Speaking of, let me
Yes,
make sure I have this completely right real quick. Because speaking of, sometimes their covers were like better.
like, absolute fire, okay.
Yes. If you ever search up Zoe's Extraordinary Playlist, Gasoline is my favorite cover. It's a Halsey cover, actually. I had never
Ooh,
had Gasoline by Halsey before. And then I can't remember the actress's name at this moment, but she did the cover in regards to kind of like postpartum depression. It was a connection to that story and her like kind of like
got
feeling like
it.
she was, kind of like under pressure in a way and kind of
Mhm,
like ready to
mhm.
explode. Gasoline, really good one. I could literally I have on my own personal Zoe's playlist that I pulled songs from.
Oh my gosh, that's so awesome.
So yeah, you get music you could play outside of watching the show. It's a good time.
Yeah.
So I definitely suggest it.
No, that's so cool.
Yeah. Okay. What's yours? It might be very different. It's
Okay,
okay.
this is very different,
Okay.
completely other side of, like, television, I guess.
Okay.
Um So my first show is formerly HBO Max. It's Max now, I guess.
Yeah.
But Warrior, and Warrior is like, dude,
Okay.
this show is fantastic. It's okay. It's very, very violent. So the show
Mhm.
is kind of following the Tong Wars in San Francisco in the late like 1870s in like
Hmm.
Chinatown. And
Okay.
so like the whole show is just like following a bunch like a couple of like I guess like Chinese tongs or like I guess like gangs in
Hmm.
this era of time in San Francisco and just kind of like forming what Chinatown is and like um it's all like martial arts. So what's crazy about this show too is this show was actually like initially based on original concepts by Bruce Lee. And so
Oh,
Bruce
cool.
Lee was trying to get this show made like years and years ago. He was going to all these studios and like networks, and no one would let him make the show because it's like, oh, it's martial arts, but also like no one wants to see a cast of like Asian people. Like, why would anyone want to see that? And
Hmm.
so, like, unfortunately, he never really got the show to get made. And so, back in like, I think it was like 2019 or 2020, yeah, 2019, they released
Yeah.
the first season. What was great is the show is produced by Shannon Lee, which is his daughter, and so
Oh,
she
that's awesome.
came and like wanted to make this show, and it's fantastic. It's like this, it's like the drama's so good. It's like this super crazy like action fight like set pieces are so awesome to watch.
Hmm.
It's very pulpy and like brutal,
Okay.
but it's so good. And it's just
Hmm.
like seeing like Asian representation in like full form too in full swing.
Yeah.
It's like some of the most like I'm not like Chinese, but like as a
Hmm.
Filipino American, I'm like this is great. Like I love seeing
Yeah.
this kind of stuff. And
Hmm.
it's like the actors and just like the cast members, they all do some of them do their own stunt work and stuff like that. So
Hmm.
the main character, his name is Assam, and he's played by Andrew Koji, who he's
Okay.
done a lot of other projects recently. I think he was in Bullet Train with like Brad Pitt and stuff like that.
Oh, okay.
Um, but he's fantastic and like
Hmm.
really great, like acting, great stunt work, and like it just adds so much like value to the show. And like all the other
Hmm.
characters too, like Jason Tobin, he plays sorry, Jason Tobin's the actor. He plays Young June, who's like kind of like the kind of like the duo partner with like
Hmm.
Sam's character, and they kind of have like fun banter and like uh yeah, and then even like so there's also like Diane Duan. She plays like a kingpin almost like a gang lord, and
Okay.
she's so badass, dude. And it's like
Hmm.
it's great. This show has everything. It's like Asian representation, strong female leads. It's like oh,
Hmm.
it's great. Like this show is like perfect. Like I'm not okay, maybe not perfect, but it's great. It's
Hmm.
absolutely wonderful. Yeah, it's just I don't even know how like what else to say about it. It's very
Okay.
creative too in the way that they handle certain situations. Like one of the things it's not really spoilery, but it's cool because like in that era of I guess history, right? We're getting all these
Hmm.
like Chinese immigrants coming here to the States, and it's like
Hmm.
as a respectful thing to this I guess show is like, okay, well are these actors gonna have like fake Chinese accents the entire time? And it's like,
Hmm.
okay, well, are they gonna do that? But the show does something so interesting where it's like they'll have fake China or they'll have their Chinese accents
Yeah.
when they're speaking to non-Chinese people. But then
Oh, okay.
the camera will do this very interesting move where it'll like pan across
Hmm.
and then they're speaking to like two like two like Chinese people will be talking and you'll see like subtitles at the bottom right. And
Yeah.
then it'll cross them and then
Hmm.
all of a sudden they'll be speaking in English like normal. And it's like, oh, it's because
Oh,
that's what people speaking their own language would like hear. So we don't need this like coded element of like what we're understanding. It's like you're
yeah.
getting both this like respect to someone's like initial language. We're
Hmm.
not doing the like accent to be like yeah, like you're not pigeonholing these actors into having this accent for the entire show and like
Yeah.
making a caricature of a whole race, right? And then
Hmm.
you're also being respectful to like these people's acting capabilities, that they're
That's
more than
true.
just an accent. It's great. I just can't speak highly enough of it. um it was canceled. It was on Cinemax for 2 seasons,
Ooh, okay.
canceled
Cinemax. Okay.
canceled after that, those 2 seasons, went to HBO Max. HBO Max got it, put those 2 seasons out, and like got so much buzz. Like all this
Okay.
buzz around the show. Everyone started watching. They're like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. Like it's so good.
Yeah.
HBO, because of all the buzz, picked it up for a third season. And third season premiered yesterday.
Okay, because that's what I was
So
going
it's
to
like
ask you.
insane.
Okay, so it's on its third season. So
Yes.
it's getting that hype then. It's like coming up.
Yes.
Okay,
It's coming
I
up now.
I'm trying to think. I don't want to confuse it because the minute you said it was on Cinemax, I was like, okay, I don't think I've ever heard of the show then
Hmm.
because Cinemax is a very like specific like
It's very specific, very
yeah.
specific. But what's
But
crazy is it,
okay.
it was on Cinemax and then it went to HBO Max. And so because it went to HBO, that's
Yeah,
where it gained its following. Like everyone started watching because also Cinemax was so specific. Like no one really had a subscription to
exactly.
Cinemax. And then it was like,
Yeah.
oh, that's so sad. And then HBO, more people have access and they're like, oh my gosh, this show is incredible. Like what's
Yeah.
happening here? And then it's like, it got canceled. Okay, well, we want a third season. And it's like, okay,
Mm.
well, we're gonna make a third season now. It's like, this is awesome. So
Yeah.
I'm really excited about it. Like I haven't watched the third, like any of the third season yet, so I'm really stoked about it.
Ooh, okay, Warrior. I'm gonna check it out because
Warrior,
I got Max. Well, I got Max, not HBO. I
it's
got
the
Max.
best. I love it.
Oh, cool. Okay, so actually, my next one is similar storyline, kind of, in a
Okay,
way, possible similar trajectory, but we're not there
okay,
yet.
okay,
Um, it's a current show. It's still up.
okay.
It's called From.
Ooh,
You've
okay,
probably never heard of it
okay. I
because
haven't.
it's on MGM Plus.
MGM Plus. Whoa,
Now,
crazy. That is a deep. I've never.
I didn't
I didn't
even
even
know
know
they
that
had it.
existed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
me neither. I don't have MGM Plus, but here's how I found out about it.
Okay.
Um, so apparently season one came out last year, and nobody knew about season one. I didn't know about season one because nobody has MGM Plus.
Yeah.
Whoever was on the production team made a smart call and made it accessible on Amazon Prime. So they made
Mm.
the first season accessible on Amazon Prime. And then they actually started marketing it because I had never seen any marketing about it either. So I was seeing it on YouTube ads and I would say mainly YouTube ads, I think, but possibly in my like social media scrolls as well. But I was seeing like From on Amazon Prime available now. And I was like, ooh, okay. So I watched season one and I was like pulled in. And so I think only the first episode is free actually, but
Got
I
it.
found ways to watch
Okay.
it.
Okay.
But
Understood.
yeah.
Understood.
Um but let me give you the premise. So right now it's still going. It's on season 2. I believe if it's not just wrapped up, it's close to wrapping up season 2. Um we have this town. So first of all, let me preface this with it is a sci-fi horror.
Okay.
We have this town. Um, it starts off with this family, riding, getting ready for a road trip in RV, and they realize that they cross this. There's a tree in front of the road, so they go back. They pass the town. They're like, "Hey, we're a little bit lost. Can you help us?" And the people in town, as viewers receive, they're kind of like weirded out, like, "Whoa, what? Who are they? Why are they here?" Kind of thing. So they're like, "Oh yeah,
Yeah.
you just go
Yeah.
down that road." And then for some reason, the family ends up exactly back at that town, even though
Oh
they
shoot.
never U-turned.
Dang, that's crazy. Okay.
And they do it again and again and again. They're
Okay.
like, we're doing something wrong. They end up in a car crash with another car. And so now there's two people in that other car, and then there's a family of RV. So, general storyline is if you see that tree stump in the middle of the road and you find the town, you are officially stuck there. You do not leave the town. You cannot leave the town. You are officially pulled into whatever this bubble is. There's no escape. So even though, which I thought was so rude, they knew that they weren't leaving. They were like, "Oh yeah, you just keep going that way." They're like, "Okay, we'll figure it out.
Oh my
We'll figure out
gosh,
how to tell
dude.
them." So, but that's not even the worst part. So they're getting the car crash, they're injured and things like that. Town people come to help, the sheriff and some other people. Their goal is to get these people inside in the clear, protected by nightfall. Why? Because at night they have these human-looking creatures. I'll say human-looking monsters that kill them at nighttime.
Dude, this is crazy. Wait,
Mhm.
this is nuts. I want this sounds awesome. Okay, okay,
It's
okay.
super cool because I was like, wait, so not only are they stuck in this town for no reason, right? You also
Uh-huh.
have to make sure you're inside that. You lock the doors, windows
Yeah, yeah,
bolted,
yeah.
everything by nightfall, or else you're going to start seeing people that look like people look like people you used to know, all of that.
Oh my
So
gosh.
it's terrifying
This is
because
trippy.
also
Okay.
like they look human, and then the minute they're ready to get you, So then also it's weird to try to convince people who end up in the town, like, hey, you gotta come inside. And they're like, you're crazy. I'm going home. They're like, no,
Yeah, yeah,
you're
yeah.
not going home. You need to come inside.
Okay. Dang, this is nuts. Like,
Mhm.
oh my gosh, that sounds so cool.
It's so good. I was kind of like salt. I was like, why would they be putting this show on MGM Plus? I was like,
Yeah.
respectfully, nobody is purchasing
No,
MGM
dude,
Plus.
it's so tough sometimes. Like I sit here, especially with all these different like new versions of the
Hmm.
Plus gang. I'm like, what? Why? Like,
Hmm.
just go. Like, why do you have a platform that no one has? Like, either merge
Yeah.
with someone else or something has to
Hmm.
happen. Like,
They did call it though. The minute Disney Plus decided to join like the bandwagon, everybody followed after
everyone,
that.
yeah,
And they did say that that was going to happen. They were like, now you're going to have to need like 12 streaming thing. No, everybody's not MGM Plus out of everything.
yeah,
Nobody's getting that. But
no one's
they
getting
did it
that.
smart by I feel like it's starting to get a little build up. Like on occasion I'll see little Twitter posts
Mm-hmm.
about it
Okay,
because of the fact that they did put it on Amazon Prime
yeah, that's
available for
crazy,
like, but I definitely, if you have Amazon Prime, watch the first episode. Please let me know what you think because it's
dude.
wild.
Okay, got it.
Literally just from that also makes kind of
From
difficult to find it sometimes. But yeah, it's a good
Dang,
one.
this is nuts. Okay, I just Googled it. Oh, I'm excited. Oh,
Yes.
dude, I love me some good like sci-fi and like
Hmm.
I'm not gonna lie, I like can't do horror, but like Jordan Peele has opened my eyes
Oh,
to like different types of horror now, so
I can
I'm
agree with
like
that.
so in. I'm
Yeah,
like so in. That's so awesome.
I
Okay.
agree with that as well. He's the only one person I go see movie like horror movies
No,
for.
like horror movies.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
man, I gotta do this thing. It's like, I'll do it for you. This is fine. Because I
Right.
know it's gonna be fire, so we'll watch it.
Mm-hmm, literally, because he was the first horror movie I watched in theater was Get Out.
No,
Am I a
exactly. Me
horror
too.
lover? No, but I love
No.
Jordan Peele from Key and
Yeah.
Peele and all that. I was like, oh, he's going in the horror bag?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
let's go.
No,
I
exactly.
watched it by myself. It was great. So every time I trust him. I watched Nope
No.
last year. Like,
Yeah. No. Like that's always how it is now. I'm like, okay, cool. I'm like,
mhm,
he's coming on another movie. I'm like, okay, I gotta like psych myself into going to this theater. I'm like, I'll be fine. Like,
yeah,
don't worry about it.
yeah.
Dang, that's so dope.
But
Okay.
yes, from
From.
you can get it on Amazon Prime,
Got
and
it.
it is currently on MGM Plus, but that's why I was like I kind of see it following the path of Warrior because not many people are getting MGM Plus, so they're not going to get
Yeah.
the viewership that they need.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I do think that Prime should buy it out, and I think it'd be
Maybe.
more
Yeah.
successful on Prime. But we'll
You
see.
never know. You never know,
Yeah,
dude. It's
we
crazy.
shall see.
Dang.
What
Oh
is
boy.
your second show?
Okay. Show number two. This one
Mhm.
is so out there, and it's kind of crazy. Like,
Oh, okay,
I guess I even found there. I found the show.
okay.
But it's called Zach Stone is Gonna Be Famous. I don't know if you've ever heard of this
That
show.
sounds
So
familiar.
it's a MTV show that
Oh, throwback.
started out
Okay.
back in 2013,
Okay.
and the show is a mockumentary starring Bo Burnham,
I
like
know
the
Bo. Okay.
comedian. So it's crazy because this is like pre super successful like inside like make
Mhm.
happy Bo Burnham on Netflix and all that stuff. And
Oh,
like
okay.
this is he created and starred in this TV show, and the premise of the show is like, so Zach Stone is this like recent high school graduate,
Yeah.
and he basically, it's like the whole show takes place in the summer before, well, the summer after his he just graduated high school. And
Okay.
so like it's right before all of his friends are going off to college and everything.
Mhm.
And instead of going to college, he decides he's going to spend his life savings to hire a film crew to follow him around and document him becoming famous. It's
Okay.
like it's the most like basic premise of a show, right? It's like, and this guy is literally like not good at anything. He has no
Yeah.
talents. He's just a dude that has this ambition of being famous. And so
Okay.
it's shot in the style of The Office, and it's like all this stuff. And it's like the whole show is just every episode is him trying to find a new avenue on what he could be famous for. Oh, I'm
Mhm.
gonna be a famous chef. I'm gonna be a famous actor. I'm gonna film a TV special and all this
Mhm.
crazy stuff. And like through his antics, you kind of realize like this dude is so like annoying and like erratic, and like he just
Yeah.
has like he's like a huge ego and like all this stuff, and
Mhm.
you're like, oh, this guy is like problematic. Like he's just a
Mhm.
crazy dude. Like how would you ever be famous? Like it's kind of crazy to think about. But like
Yeah.
under all of that like thing as you watch the show more, you start realizing like, oh, he's just a normal person, like a normal dude that has a lot of flaws, and like there's a lot of humanizing moments throughout the show, and
Mm,
it's like so interesting. Like just it's like a very interesting
mm,
character study of this like super like yeah, like, ambition driven dude that's like
mm.
almost delusional and trying to chase this dream that is like for what? Like what are you going
Yeah.
to be famous for? You're not going to do anything. And like yeah, it's like both a really fun wild ride to watch but also this like
Mm,
deeply emotional character study to kind of watch like this very specific individual. It's crazy too because there's like the show is also just about this commentary about like I guess like the truth of like how humans as just a creature we just crave attention.
yeah.
And it's so interesting too. Like I feel like there's also a commentary about like the performative nature of social media and all that stuff even before social media was there. Like I feel
Mm,
like this show isn't about social media, but there's a layer there that is a little bit about that and how we kind of put ourselves on it. And
yeah.
it's so interesting to kind of watch, and it's like reflective of the current time even though the show was made like 10 years ago. um
It seems like they were
and
ahead of
I'm not gonna
time.
exactly, and it's crazy,
Mhm,
I'm not gonna spoil it, but the end of the show
mhm,
legitimately, like I don't know, it's so weird and random because it's like this show about nothing but very emotional. I
mhm.
got chills in the last like 3 minutes of the show because there's this
Oh.
big thing that happens,
Mhm.
and it basically shifts the entire perspective and like the lens of what you were watching the show. Like in the
Okay.
last 3 minutes, it shifts the entire like perspective. Like, oh my gosh, was I watching the right show? Like,
Ooh,
was I
okay.
did I like is the person or is the show that and the characters that I know actually doing things for the reasons that they are and stuff like that? It's very
Okay.
interesting. It's very interesting.
So we get like a little
Um,
plot twist at the
Almost like
end.
a plot twist.
Okay.
It's like a plot twist, and it's crazy. Like, yeah, like I just remember at the end of the show, I like couldn't stop thinking about it because I was like, oh my gosh, like that means the past what like 4 or 5 hours I spent watching the show, and the past 4 or 5 hours I spent with this
Yeah.
character. It's like, is that all a lie? Like, was I being lied to this entire time? Like everything I thought I knew about
Mm.
this character, like it's insane. It's I highly recommend.
I
It's one
love
of
a
those
good
shows where
plot
you're like,
twist.
no, it is. It's fantastic, and it's also just like, it's funny. It's like early Bo Burnham, so it's like
Mhm.
can never go wrong. He's like very quirky and awkward
Yeah.
dude. And
It
it's a
seems
fun
like it
time.
matches that time of MTV as well.
It
Because I
does.
was like an
It
awkward
does.
girl, like the TV show Awkward. I don't
I
know if
get
you
you.
watched that.
I heard
So
about it. Yes.
yeah, I feel like those two shows seem to have like similar like vibes of that time period of
Hmm.
MTV. Okay, that's cool.
No, for sure, for sure. It's like, yeah,
Cool.
oh, it's I love it. It like I was doing research on it again yesterday because I haven't watched it in a couple of months, and I was like,
Hmm.
man, I forgot how good this show was. I was like, dang,
Yeah.
it really is underrated.
Hmm. Ooh, okay. I mean, hey, I could always like go backwards in time. So that's a good one
No,
to
it's great.
think about.
It's a great vibe.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Um, oh, wait, out of curiosity too. So how many seasons? So it did end. They were able to finish it. How many
Yes, it
seasons
was
did they get through?
only one season. So it was only one season.
Oh, it was supposed to be one season?
It's
Or
I think so. The thing is like
okay.
at the end of that season, I didn't want anything else. I was like, this is it. Like this is
Oh.
exactly where I thought the show would lead to, but also in the way that I never expected, and
Mhm.
also very unexpected in the way that it carried itself out. So it's and the
Okay.
show is really short. I think it's like 8 episodes. Each episode I think is 30 minutes. Like
Oh, so maybe
it's
it's
a
like a little
very
limited
short,
series.
very limited, and it's very
Okay.
short, and it's just like it's crazy because when you look at Bo Burnham's like just like his entire body of work too, it's like
Mhm.
all of his comedy specials on Netflix, but like this is
Mhm.
something that I feel like flies under the radar
Mhm.
for what he's known for. And I'm like, this is insane that you made this like years before you made your first movie, like years
Yeah.
before all this crazy stuff that you were able to like take off with. It's like it is great. It's great.
Interesting. I had no idea. That's good to know because I literally thought like he kind of like pulled from YouTube. I was
Yeah.
unaware of like the TV show route. So that's
No,
good to know.
exactly. So like the fact that too, like you're sitting here, like this was during that era where it was like, oh, okay, you're still like a you quote unquote like YouTuber. And
Hmm.
then it's like, dude made the jump to like mainstream, like stand up and then, hey, I'm gonna write a TV show. And you're like, whoa,
Yeah.
okay, dude. And like, yeah, it's fantastic. And they're like, this is your first big thing, and it's like how is it not like how does it not have this like much more attention?
Yeah. Interesting. Okay, cool. I'm gonna look back at it. I have to remind myself what streaming platform does have the MTV.
No, what's crazy, the reason I found it is because it was on
Mm.
Netflix. Like it literally just
Oh,
went to Netflix. I guess
okay.
Netflix like has the rights to stream it now. And I was like, wait, what? I was
Okay,
like,
good to
cool,
know.
I'll try it. I'll watch this first episode. I was like, I'm hooked. Next episode. Keep going, keep going.
Uh-huh. Got a refresh. Okay.
Oh yeah.
I'm adding it because like I said, I'll pull some TV shows to watch.
That's great.
Um, okay. I had a hard time figuring out which I still have some other ones to pull from,
Okay.
but I'm gonna tell the one that's near and dear to my heart.
Okay.
A little bit more, but I'm gonna put in the honorable mentions, the other ones I have. Julie and the Phantoms.
I've heard
And
about this. I've heard about this. And it's so funny. I feel like I know about this because it's an HBO show, correct?
Netflix.
Netflix show. Okay.
Hmm.
So like it's funny because I'll watch like trailers for Netflix
Yeah.
shows and stuff or so often. And you'll
Hmm.
always see those comments at the bottom, or like this is maybe a couple years ago. It's like,
Uh,
bring back Julie and the Phantoms. We need this for a season, another season. I was like, oh
yeah.
man, that's so
Hmm.
sad. I've heard about this, but it's
Yeah.
crazy.
So that's why I was having a hard time figuring out. I was like, is it technically underrated? But I was like, you know what? It's underrated via the Netflix community
That's what it is. That's what it is.
because it had like a 90 something percent on Rotten Tomatoes. People love the show. It's another show because listeners, I love musicals. It was another show that had original content, fresh songs, and got to play stuff on Spotify. And for some reason, after season one, with its high success rate, you already know Kenny Ortega is gonna deliver.
Oh
He's done
my
High School
gosh.
Musical,
Ugh, we know the
Descendants,
man.
all
Of
the
course.
stuff, and he delivered. And they canceled it after season one, after good ratings and reviews and replies and responses.
Ugh.
So that was always really confusing. But for my people who've never watched Julie and the Phantoms, so it's about Julie. Julie
Okay.
recently, she lost her mom, and so she used to like make music with her mom, sing with her mom, and after losing her mom, she kind of doesn't have that same connection or drive anymore. One day she's in her mom's or in the house of shed that they're gonna move out of soon, actually, and she comes across I want to say DVD. I think, yeah, I think it's a DVD. I don't think it was a vinyl. A
Mhm.
DVD of a band that her mom, for some reason, had a DVD of. She plays it,
Okay.
and these three ghosts appear out of nowhere.
What?
So,
Okay.
and they're the band of they're the band of the music. They're the band of the music she's playing.
Okay.
um, and she can see them, and so then we get on this journey of her eventually finding love for music again via these three phantom ghosts who are in a band. We also get to see the fact that somehow when they passed, they were in this like dark abyss and they played her music, and then now they're like, oh, we're dead. So like this whole time that they've been dead, which has been years,
Uh-huh.
like almost over a decade, I believe, um they were like not anywhere. They were just kind of like in limbo in a way.
Oh,
And
what?
so the minute
Okay.
she played the music, they were like, we're dead. Like they kind of like freaked out. I love it because we get comedy. We
Uh-huh.
kind of get that like goofball boy energy of just like, what are they
Gotcha,
doing?
gotcha. Yeah,
Like they're
yeah,
just
yeah.
like vibes, but like wholesome beans.
Uh-huh.
We get Julie, who's just like a gem, also a wholesome bean. So that's just really cool. We get to see the phantoms like experience what life is like now because they haven't been ghosts this whole
Gotcha.
entire
Okay,
time.
yes, yes.
So they're
Uh-huh.
like confused. They're getting updates. They're like, oh, my parents are here. Oh, what is this? Oh, it's a telephone. Oh, like, well, not a telephone, but like, specifically how the
Well,
phones
yeah,
are
a
today.
smartphone. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. Um, there's some plot twists, some drama of how
Ooh,
they
okay.
died.
Love
I don't
me
want to
some
tell you how they
good
died, but
drama. Okay.
it's pretty ridiculous how they died.
Okay.
Um, and we get like ghost drama
Ooh.
and then like real life drama of their
All right,
past
all
as
right.
well. So I was like, ooh, sprinkle. We get a little evil ghost guy, and then we also get like cute like little romances. We get like a ghost boy romance, and then we get like um I guess like they were starting to plot like Julie's romance as well, but I don't know. I feel like it was such a good and cute wholesome show,
Ugh,
and Netflix really just threw it away, and it
yeah,
literally took them like a year and a half, 2 years to officially say they canceled it. So I was
that's
really
dude.
confused. We were all really confused on why, and they never gave a good
Mm,
explanation,
hmm.
especially considering like it did so well.
Yeah.
Like the music got up there in the charts and everything.
Dang.
So I don't know, but I would have loved to see them get like a closeout,
Yeah.
especially because they left us on a cliffhanger.
Dang, dude, that's rough. Like
Yeah.
that's the worst. Oh my
hmm
gosh.
But yeah, Julie and the Phantom, Sabrina actually was the reason I started watching it because
Oh, okay,
I was like,
okay.
Julie and the Phantoms. I was like, it seems like a kid show, and like technically that was their audience,
Oh
but
my
maybe the people
gosh.
theory that maybe because the audience that they tried to go to was not the audience that they got
Yeah.
was maybe the reason why, because maybe they were trying to go in a different route. But I
Okay, but like
also
you can
don't
pivot.
understand
You
that.
can totally pivot. Like
Yeah.
that's not a problem. Like I don't know.
hmm
That's such like a cop out like what's it called? Like studio answer. It's like, dude,
Yeah.
just give the people what they want. They want another
Yeah.
season.
It is a theory. I don't know if it's confirmed because
Yeah.
they just said it's canceled. They never
I
said
get you.
anything.
Hmm.
But that was one thing because it was like there are a lot of people like in our 20s were like hyping up
Yeah,
Julie and the
yeah.
Phantoms, and they were like, this was for like 10-year-olds. I was like,
Oh my
no,
gosh.
Julie, yeah. But yeah, it was a show I truly thought was in the bag. I was like, we're about to get five
Oh,
seasons,
dang.
and
That's so
we didn't.
tough.
Yeah.
Oh man.
But if you want another one with some bangers,
Yeah.
Julie and the Phantoms on Spotify,
Okay.
pretty
Okay.
good.
Fantastic bang. Okay, I'm gonna check these out. Like
It's pretty
it's funny
short.
because how many episodes?
So I believe it's 8 episodes and they're 30
Oh,
like under 30 minutes. They're not even hour
what?
episodes.
Oh
Yeah,
my
it was a
gosh.
quick watch. Quick watch.
Oh my gosh. That's crazy.
So that's why
Okay.
I'm like, what? But hey,
Dang.
they're
Okay.
gonna do what they're
Okay.
gonna do.
Yeah, they're gonna do what they're gonna do. I'll definitely check that out. Okay.
Yes.
Netflix.
What is your final
Okay.
reveal?
Yes. So my final show um is actually it's another HBO show
Ooh,
and
okay.
it's called Winning Time: The Rise of the Lakers Dynasty. So
Oh, okay.
like I'm a big like it was funny. I'm like a cradle Lakers fan. Like my dad was like the biggest Lakers fan. So like I just kind of like
hmm
inherited that and I'm like, oh, this is fun, like being a Lakers fan in LA and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But I never truly understood like the different eras of the Lakers. So like I grew up with the Kobe era where it was like, okay, like that's
hmm
just what I understand as the Lakers, but like
Yeah.
I didn't know the Showtime Lakers of the 1980s, like Magic Johnson and like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. And so
hmm
that's what this show is. It's literally showing how the Lakers were built as a dynasty to like modernize what the I guess like the dynasty of what we now know as the Lakers, right? Like with like the forum and them playing in the forum and like
hmm
turning an NBA game into a show and like all this stuff. And it shows
Yeah.
like the early days of that. It's a dramatic retelling of that era. So it's not a one
Okay.
to one. It's like based on true story. Um, but the stylistic choices they make are really fun. Like it follows uh like oh my gosh, is it Jerry Buss? I'm forgetting some of these characters. There's
You
like
could.
was it Jerry West? I don't remember which. Oh, Jerry Buss. It is Jerry Buss.
Okay.
But he was like the manager of the Lakers and stuff like that. So it's like
Okay.
him, and it's great. Like he does these things in like the show too, where he'll break the fourth wall and just like give a monologue about the update of like where we are in the timeline of things,
Ooh,
and just be
okay.
like,
I love a good
yeah, like
fourth
right now
wall.
we're yeah, I love it. He's like yeah, we're doing this thing right now, and like they never knew what was gonna happen, and he'll cut back into like the scene and stuff like that. But it's like
Okay.
really dramatic, highly stylized of that era.
So do we get
It's
so it sounds like we get like it's like comedy slash like
comedy
drama.
drama. It's
Okay.
like comedy historical drama, but
Okay.
not direct like drama. It would not direct history. It's almost like a dramatic retelling of it. It's
Got
funny.
it.
The
Okay.
show has gotten a lot of heat from Magic Johnson, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar,
Mm,
like Jerry West,
assume so,
because
yeah.
like they're like, this is not accurate of how I actually am and how I was at the time and yada yada yada.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm like, dude, this is highly entertaining, so it
Yeah.
doesn't matter. So
Hmm.
it's like, and it's like, it's HBO, so they're good at drama.
They are.
It is a fun time to watch. As much as it is like maybe not 100% historically accurate, like
Hmm.
I'm having a good time. And like I'm learning a
Okay.
little bit, but it's also like understanding, hey, this is probably not exactly how it went down,
Hmm.
but like it's fun. Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
It's just like a fun time.
it's a
Oh,
fun time.
okay. That's
Yeah.
cool. Okay. See, that's good. So our like last ones were kind of just like these are fun to watch.
They're fun to watch. And so
Yeah.
what's great is Winning Time got picked up for season 2. Season 2 is
Hmm.
coming out and I believe it's September or August. I think
Okay, that's good
August.
to know. Okay.
Um but it's great. And it's I don't like I hesitate to say if it's underrated or not because like
Hmm.
there isn't as much buzz about the show.
Never
I
heard of
I
it.
only know that like people talk about it of like people who are like legitimate Laker fans and like love
Hmm.
basketball and stuff like that and love that era of time of like NBA and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
so people will go and watch that for what it is.
Hmm.
Um but then it's like yeah, like I don't think it's like as openly talked about for a show. So I'm like, "Oh,
Yeah.
this is a fun time." Yeah.
Ooh, okay. Cool. So we got like some action
Yeah,
drama, we got
dude.
some comedy, some revelations possibly about life and fame, and then we
Yeah.
get some a dramatic retelling of basketball. Ooh, okay. So I have to know because we talked about a few. I gave you some sci-fi horror. I gave you like a little fun Julian the Phantom's music. I
Uh-huh.
also gave you Zoe playlist
Yeah, yeah,
music.
yeah.
Let me be specific. Zoe's extraordinary
An
playlist.
extraordinary playlist.
Um what were some honorable mentions? So like some quick notes of like if you had to do a quick pitch on these
Okay.
shows that you were like, watch them. What
Okay.
are some that were almost making this list but didn't?
Okay. So The Bear was on that list. But the thing
Ooh,
is
okay.
I'm also hesitant to say that The Bear now is like it's not I feel like it's not underrated because it is
It's
just
picked up.
it's
Yeah.
picked up and
Hmm.
people loved it. Even season
I
1.
gotta
Like
watch it.
I feel like season 1 became that thing. Dude, it's nuts. Like it is nuts of a show. Like I can't stress enough
Hmm.
how incredible it is. The writing, the acting. It's also
Hmm.
an incredibly stressful show. So I don't know if you like stressful shows.
Yeah, I'm down.
It's it's so stressful. Like
I
I'm like
just
sitting there and I'm like, this you can't do this. Like what
hmm
this is a show. Like you can't make a show like this. And they do it. I'm
yeah.
like, this is crazy.
I gotta figure it out because truly I've only seen people like cooking in the kitchen. I have no idea what the show is about.
Oh,
So,
that's literally the entire show.
oh, for real?
The
Okay.
entire show is just about this restaurant
Hmm.
and will this restaurant stay afloat?
Are
And
is it
like
the
that's it.
restaurant called the Bear? Is that why it's the Bear?
I'm not gonna spoil it,
Oh,
but
okay.
it's
Okay.
it's great. It's so the thing is too, it's stressful, high stakes, a
Mhm.
lot of love in that show, a lot of heart, but also a lot of comedy, a lot of like, dude, a lot of screaming, a lot of cussing, a lot of like it's like everything goes out the window. It's so good. Like
Ooh, okay.
it's so good.
All right. I'm gonna add it to my list. I'll throw one out that I had too.
Okay. Yes.
Um, Travelers on Netflix.
Okay.
And it's a sci-fi. They literally travel and get to like travel through time and like within like different hosts. Um,
Okay.
they got canceled after season 3, and I got mad
I
at Netflix
feel
because I
like
didn't really I was like kind of like hesitant to finish it
have I
out.
heard about this? I think I've heard about this.
It was popular. I don't know exactly what happened. It was like it wasn't like Stranger Things popular or like,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Haunting of Hill House if you ever watched that. It wasn't like
Yeah, yeah,
popping
yeah.
off on like Twitter, but it was
Mm-hmm.
like enough. But for some reason, I don't know in Netflix's eyes if it dwindled down or what happened.
Mm.
Now I wasn't watching it and like everybody was talking about it, but I felt like it was a good show. But yeah, they canceled after 3 seasons, and I think
Dang,
they at
okay.
least gave them a heads up. So I think they
Got
tried
it.
to wrap it up,
Wrap it
but
up a
I
little bit.
also feel like I'm wrong on that, and it might be a cliffhanger because there's a reason why I said no. I was like, I'm not finishing
Yeah,
because I
yeah.
didn't want to end on a cliffhanger. So,
Mm, yeah.
but Travelers is a good one. Also, really Blast from the Past. I don't know if you ever heard of Kyle XY. Also a sci-fi. It's like he's like
I
an
have heard of this. Okay,
alien who
what?
looks like a human. I think they canceled
Okay.
it also after 3 seasons, and it was ABC Family. You know what you did, and they canceled it on a
ABC
cliff. It was
Family.
a huge cliffhanger, and I
Got it.
remember I watched it because they were doing reruns or something,
Uh-huh.
and I didn't know they had canceled it. So
That's
I got
oh
got
my
by, and
gosh, dude, you
ABC
did get
Family's
got.
also
That's
known for
tough.
canceling a
Yeah.
lot of shows. Well, now
100%.
previously known as ABC Family, now known as Freeform, but
Yeah,
they
Freeform.
canceled it to try to get that niche. So then they started pulling in
Yeah.
Secret Life of American Teenager, Pretty
Mm,
Little Liars. So
Real
they were trying to
Liars.
go to that odd. They didn't want sci-fi, so they
Mm,
wanted the teen drama of it all.
yeah.
But that didn't mean it wasn't a good show, which is another
Yeah.
thing. Like they canceled it for their own ideas of what the
No,
network
totally.
wanted.
Totally.
Yeah,
Dang.
but those are
Hmm.
mine.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
I
Oh
know you
my
said you had the
gosh.
bear. Was there another one you had, or
They're not. I guess they're not necessarily underrated, or maybe some
okay,
of them are. Okay, so they're not underrated. I guess it's more just like their niche.
okay,
So like, there's a show on Netflix. It's called 2521. It's a K drama. I don't know if
okay?
you're familiar. Like, I don't know if you've ever seen a K drama
I've
before.
seen K dramas before. Yeah,
Okay, 2521 is my very first K drama I've ever watched. It's actually probably one of the only K
really?
dramas I've seen.
Okay,
But, dude, when I tell you, I was emotionally wrecked by this
that they'll
show.
do that to you though.
That is that is
Truly.
that is an understatement of how I felt. Like,
Mhm.
I legitimately felt like sickly for like a week. Like I feel like I couldn't
Whoa.
I and it was what's insane to me was like
Mhm,
I've never had a show do that to me before. Like I
mhm.
like I was sitting there and I'm like, bro, I feel legitimately hurt right now. And I'm like, but I don't
Oh,
know why.
I
Like
don't
it
think you're
like it
convincing me, Isaiah.
no,
I was
no,
like,
okay. Here's the other thing too about the show. It's
okay,
great. The show is very it's like about love, it's about fencing somehow, it's about
okay.
friendship. It's a
Hmm.
great time. Um, it's also like just about like that era of life. I think that's
Hmm.
why it also like it hurt so good to me was because like
Okay.
the show was called 2521 because the characters in the show grow up to that place in time when they're 25 and 21.
Oh, not
And so it's like
disrespectful.
it's
Because I'm
it's like
like,
you basically get to that age and I was like seeing it, I was like, oh my gosh, this is kind of like my like current state of
oh yeah,
mind.
I
I was like,
can't.
this is
I
I
can't.
was like I was like, man, this is tough. This is so
Mhm.
good. But yeah, the writing is
That's
fantastic.
hilarious.
It's just like it's very good. It's very well done. Like cinematography is beautiful. The
Mhm.
acting is fantastic. Um, it also just like the end of the show. I think the reason why it hurt me so much too is like you feel like you get to know these people so well. Like,
Mhm.
and it's crazy because the show is only I think it's like 20 or 21 episodes long,
Yeah.
and they're about an hour each. And it like hurts. Like you like legitimately I miss these people afterwards. Like I felt like I said bye to someone in an airport and I was like sitting there, I was
Mhm.
like, well, I'm never gonna see him again. Like this is so sad. Like I don't know what I was gonna do
Yeah.
with my life. But
Oh,
yeah.
man. K-dramas will do that to you because the one K-drama I watched, The Goblin, bawled like a
Okay.
baby.
I heard about Goblin. I've heard about Goblin.
And then the reason why I bawled, yes, it's like low key like it is like a romance, but I think I cried more of like they're really good at that like life connection and that the story of like the meaning and the purpose of the things that those characters are going through.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, and I remember my friend recommended to me. I watched it and I was bawling in my apartment in college. Like, like it's so
It's so good.
beautiful. Yeah, it's one of
No,
those like
it's great.
yeah, bittersweet
It's
things for
yeah.
sure.
No, it is. And it's like yeah, it's also really nice. Like it's a very good cathartic show. Like
Mhm.
just to just watch and be like, okay, I'm good now. You're just like, okay,
Yeah.
I can live life. But
Well,
it's great. I
I'll have to
highly
mentally
recommend
prepare for
2521.
it. Yeah.
Yes. What's great about the show too is you don't have to mentally prepare as much. I think that what's great is it ramps in. So the very first
Mhm.
couple episodes are like, oh, they're cute. They're like teeny boppy. They're like
Yeah.
fun. And then it ramps in, and then you get to like the middle of a show towards the end of the show, and you're like sitting there and you're like, this is not the same show anymore. And then like you get to the end, you're like,
Mhm.
this isn't the same show as episode one. What the freak is going on?
Ooh, okay. Well, I'm gonna
Yeah.
put it on my list. I wrote it
Highly
down.
recommend. Highly recommend.
Well, thank you so much, Isaiah, for
Yeah.
joining this episode. I was like, as I said, I was super excited to have you on here.
Oh, super excited to
Um,
be here.
thank you. For listeners, I hope you got like a new show to watch and appreciate. As we said, like there's a lot of different streaming services and things like that. But hopefully you have access to them and can like pop in and watch so and try it out for episode one at least. Um, Make sure that you put in the Q&A section for Spotify. Tell us what your favorite underrated show is. Let us know in the comments there. And I would also love to have more shows to watch, so please share. Once again, thank you so much to Isaiah. Make sure that you follow Isaiah at ISAIAH_KAI on Instagram, and check out his work with Wong Fu Productions on YouTube. You can check out the episode description to look at those specific details. Make sure you follow and like this podcast. You can follow me at KaVonna on Instagram to stay updated as well. Get some sunshine, get some air, have an amazing, amazing week. And I will see you next week on the Introvert Social Hour. Thanks for joining.